Hi. I'm here for the second part of a Code Geass character ranking. I previously uh, went from 55 to 46, so now into 45. Tianzi, um, Empress. Tianzi is an okay character. She is likable, sympathetic, um, more responsible character that really cares about others. She's just not terribly exciting and not super memorable or interesting, but not a bad character. 44, Kusakabe, who I originally didn't have my ranking, but I felt like having him because he does feel like the main antagonist of the one episode he's involved in, and I think he's a decent enough antagonist. Not one of the more memorable ones, but I feel like he served his purpose in the show's story well enough. Uh, in 43rd place is Arthur. A character that has some amusing moments. I do enjoy what Arthur brings. Not a character that shows up a whole lot, but perfectly decent character. In 42nd place, I think is going to be a big hot take. Not for the character being low, uh, because I think the real problem is I think a lot of people would want the character to actually be lower. In 42nd place is Nina, who seems to be a lot of people's least favorite character in Code Geass. And when things started off, Nina was a pretty boring character and a little bit annoying. I do think she became more interesting as the show went on, particularly in the second season. She got more involved in the story, and she was a character that did a lot of bad things, and I don't think is the most sympathetic, but I do think there's at least some nuance to her. Uh, so I think that Nina is an interesting enough character, not one of the better characters, and I feel like there were better ways to make the character more sympathetic and to explore her connections to others rather than having an unhealthy obsession with euphemia and not a lot of other interactions that are that great. But I do think that Nina is an interesting character at times. In 41st place is Millie, a character that I think I've ranked a lot higher before. She is a very amusing character. I do think she has some funny interaction with the other characters. I do think she shows up too often considering how really unimportant she is to the story. It is weird where the president of the student council that the main characters goes to shows up more often than some of the characters that are really important to the plot. So there are times where it feels like it would be nice if Millie just showed up for a few little moments here or there and more stuff was going on to the important characters. But Millie does provide some good comedy relief, and she is a fun character to have around. Uh, Now I'm moving on to Toto's friends, teammates. Uh, in 40th place is Senba. I feel like he got the least amount to do of the four of them. I feel like he didn't really have any big moments to stand out, but he is a perfectly fine character. 39 is Asahina. A character that was never super interesting, but his last scene in the show is a good note for his character. I feel like it's good for moving the storyline forward, and I feel like he was kind of stepping up, having a problem with what Zero was doing and talking to Toto about it. And I feel like if he had more moments like that, I feel like he would be a really good, interesting character. Uh, but that's really his only big, huge moment in the show. In 38th place, I have Yorube, a character that used to not stand out that much, but he had a great last scene that made him one of the more sympathetic and likable characters. And I feel like Asahina, I feel like he would be a more interesting character that would be ranked higher if he got more moments to shine, but at least he got that really great moment. And in 37th place, I have Nagisa, uh, the woman that likes Toto. She stuck around the longest, so I felt like she should be ranked the highest of the four. She still didn't have a huge amount of characterization, but I did feel like she at least had a little bit more characterization than the others. In 36th place, I have Cannon, Schneisel's assistant. Uh, he is a decently entertaining character, perfectly fine. He just didn't get a lot to do. So similarly to Toto's friends, but not a bad character to have around or anything. In 35th place, Shin Kei. Uh, he had somewhat of an interesting backstory, some cool interactions with other characters. Um, I do think things got a little bit too focused on his connection to Tianzi, where I feel like Shin-Kei likely had wholesome intentions and likely saw Tianzi as like sort of like a younger sister to protect or something, like how Lush feels about Nonali or something like that. I feel like there were some weird things about it though that made it storyline that I didn't really want to be focused on super big, but Shin-Kei is a decently written character. 34 Sawasaki, the main antagonist of the one episode that he was involved in, and I think he worked very well as the antagonist of the episode. At 33rd place, General Toto. Not a character that has the most entertaining personality or anything like that, but a cool character, has some nice moments. 32nd place, Guilford, guy that really likes Cornelia. He's a decently entertaining character. He has some likable moments. There's some interesting stuff done with him, particularly early on in season 2. 31st place, Dalton. Another solid, good supporting character. Enjoy what he brings. He has some nice moments. In 30th place, General Upson, who's not around for very long, but very memorable for being pretty one-dimensionally over the top in his villainy and his grumpy anger, and that is fun to see. In 29th place, the character I think a lot of people would have very low in their rankings. I think my 29th favorite character would be ranked towards the end in most people's rankings, Alicia Lohmeyer, a very one-dimensionally evil, close-minded character, and very entertaining to watch because of it. I did enjoy how unsubtle she was in her bad behavior. It was fun to see. In 28th place, Professor Rakshana, a character that unfortunately didn't get a lot of characterization. She does have an amazing design, a very fun personality, and she is important for the work that she does. So I feel like she's a character that should have gotten more to do, but even the little bit she did get was enough to get her to 28th place. 27th place, Empress Marion, a character that doesn't have a lot of screen time, but is incredibly important to the plot. There's some very interesting stuff that's revealed about her as the show goes on, and she is a very fascinating character for a character that there's not a lot of screen time to, that we don't know very well, even by the end of the show. In 26th place is V2. When I think about the big prominent villains in Code Geass, I keep forgetting about V2, even though he is very important to the plot and is one of the evilest characters in the show and really helps get a lot of things going in the plot. And he is an entertaining villain. He has some great moments, and the dynamics that he has with some of the other characters are really good. I feel like the other main villains are so great and stand out so much, and I love their storylines and personalities so much that V2 feels like the forgettable one, even though he is a good villain. So I think that really shows how great the villains are in Code Geass. And feel free to let me know what you think of the ranking.